Let's go ahead and talk about the September 29th, 2025 episode of Monday Night Raw, where we kick off the show, and they are live in Raleigh, North Carolina. We kick off the show with Rhea Ripley. She comes out there first, and then she grabs the mic and she starts calling out Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, for what happened last week on Raw. So yeah, that's what she was doing there, because she says that she pretty much already knew that, the Kabuki Warriors are going to be doing something like this, and she was right. So yeah, that's what she was saying there, so she starts calling them out. But instead of the Kabuki Warriors coming out there, it was Io Sky. Io Sky comes out there, and Io apologizes to Rhea, and she says that, Rhea was right about everything, but she says that she still loves them, and she says that they're still family. So yeah, that's what Io was telling Rhea, but then they get interrupted while the lights goes dim, and then we see Asuka and Kairi Sane on the big screen, and they was talking as well, and Asuka was talking about how, that she will accept Io back to Damage Control and everything if she apologizes, because she says that Io could be one of her students once again, just like Kairi Sane, and she says that, she was the one that taught Io everything that she knew to become champion, and then Io was trying to forget about him. So yeah, that's what Asuka was saying there, and she says that if she apologizes, they can be a happy family again. So yeah, that's what she tells Io, and then Rhea tells Asuka and Kairi that both of them can go to hell, and, Io says that she got to think about this and she can't do nothing about it, and she starts getting upset, crying, and she starts walking out of the ring. But while she's walking up the ramp, we see Asuka and Kairi Sane coming up from behind, attacking Rhea Ripley, stomping her in the corner and everything. Io comes up, pulling Asuka right off of Rhea, and then we see Kairi stepping in front of Io, trying to stop him from fighting, and then that's when Asuka spits the mist into Io's face, blinding her. So yeah, she's taking out. Rhea's trying to fight back and everything against Asuka and Io, against Asuka and Kairi, and then she tries to hit the Riptide onto Kairi, but then Asuka takes out Rhea and then locks on the Asuka lock. While she gets it locked on, we see Kairi climbing up the top turnbuckle, jumping off of the insane elbow drop onto Rhea, laying her out as well. So yeah, the Kabuki Warriors lays out Rhea Ripley and Io Sky tonight on Monday Night Raw. That's what happened there. Pretty good segment to kick off the show right there. Really enjoyed it, but yeah, pretty good one, setting up a possible tag team match at Crown Jewel. So yeah, that's what it seems like there. But yeah, up next it'll be the first match of the night. It'll be Dominic Mysterio defending the Intercontinental Championship up against Rusev, one-on-one up next on Raw. So yeah, that'll be the first match of the night up next. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on Monday Night Raw, we get to the first match of the night. It was the Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio versus Rusev one-on-one for the Intercontinental Championship. So yeah, we get to this match, and this match, it was a really good one. Rusev was dominating the first half of this match. Dominic continued on in this one, trying to fight back against Rusev, hitting a 619 to the stomach on the Rusev, knocked him to the second rope, finally hitting the actual 619 onto Rusev. He climbs up the top turnbuckle and jumps off with a frog splash, but Rusev moves out of the way, so Dominic hits the mat, and then that's when Rusev hits the Machka kick onto Dominic. He pinned him. 1, 2, Dominic barely kicked out at 2. We see Rusev try to lock on the Accolade, but then Dominic quickly slipped through, grabbing the AAA Mega and the Intercontinental Championship, and he was going on to walk away, and then Rusev got him back into the ring and everything, and the referee was distracted because he was taking out the AAA Mega Championship after Dominic threw it in the ring and all that stuff. We see Dominic grabbing the IC Championship, hitting Rusev in the back with it, but it had no effect to him, and then he tosses it over to Rusev and collapses down like he was Eddie Guerrero. But then the referee already done seen all that, and he pretty much took away the Intercontinental Championship, and while he was putting it up and everything, and Dominic was complaining to him, that's when Rusev comes up grabbing on Dominic, and then Dominic grabs onto the referee, and while the referee didn't see it, we see Dominic throwing his leg back, hitting a low blow onto Rusev, and then he rolls up Rusev, grabbing the tights, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Dominic Mysterio defeated Rusev tonight in a one-on-one match to retain the Intercontinental Championship. For that match, I'll give it 3 stars as well. It was a pretty good one-on-one match. But yeah, that's what happened there. Dominic Mysterio retains the Intercontinental Championship. And then after that, we see a backstage segment from earlier today, where we see LA Knight talking to the Raw general manager, Adam Pearce, backstage, and he was talking about how good he did as a referee and everything, and he, at WrestlePalooza, and then he was talking about how he should get a shot for the World Heavyweight Championship and all that. But while they was talking about that, all of a sudden they get interrupted by Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and Kofi tells LA Knight to get the hell on somewhere because they're trying to talk about the tag team titles and everything. And Adam Pearce talking about how, they got earned a shot for the tag team titles, and then LA Knight was talking about how he wouldn't leave because he's talking about world title business. And then Kofi was talking about how he is a former world champion of himself, and the LA Knight wants a match against Kofi, and then Adam Pearce makes the match tonight, LA Knight versus Kofi Kingston one-on-one tonight. So yeah, that's what's happening there. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on Monday Night Raw, we get to the next match of the night, but before we talk about that match, we got to talk about a backstage segment where we see Bayley running into Lyra Valkyria, and Bayley pretty much wants Lyra Valkyria to be at ringside with her tonight for a match. And then Lyra says that she ain't going to be giving Bayley no more second chances after what happened last week on Raw, and she tells her no. And then Lyra walks off, and then we get to the next match of the night. It was Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez with Roxanne Perez at ringside the Judgment Day. So yeah, we get to this match. In this match, it was a pretty good one between Bayley and Raquel. We see Bayley doing some tributes in North Carolina because they were in North Carolina tonight. And she hit the Swanton Bomb at one point onto Raquel Rodriguez, getting a 2 count of that. And then at the ending, we actually see her lock on the Figure 4 leg lock onto Raquel, and then Raquel was trying to fight out of it, and then Roxanne was trying to help Raquel out, but the referee catches her, and then the referee is looking at Raquel, asking her if she's going to tap, and while that's going down, we see Roxanne breaking up the submission by grabbing onto Bayley's hair, pulling her off pretty much, and the referee didn't see it, and then that's when Raquel got back up, hitting a big boot onto Bayley, and then she hits the Tejada Bomb onto her, pinning her for the 3 count. So yeah, Raquel Rodriguez defeated Bayley tonight in a one-on-one match. That's what happened there. Pretty good match though. And then after the match ended, we see Roxanne and Raquel attacking Bayley after the match, beating her down. And then Lyra Valkyria comes running out there, making the save, and she was helping out Bayley, but then she starts getting beat down as well by Raquel and Roxanne, and then that's when Bayley starts hearing voices in her head, and she jumps up, beating down Raquel and Roxanne, knocking them out of the ring, and then she looks at Lyra, and Lyra's afraid of her, and then Bayley actually helps Lyra up, and yeah, that's what happened there, and Lyra was shocked. So yeah, and she was calling her an idiot the whole time, Bayley was. But yeah, for that match and what happened after the match, I'll give it all 3.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good match. But yeah, that's what happened there. And then after that match, we see Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, talking backstage. And, Jimmy was talking about what is wrong with Jay. He should have helped out LA Knight after the victory last week, and LA Knight getting attacked and all that stuff by the Vision. And Jay was talking about how he's not going to be helping nobody else because they don't care about him or anything. And he says that he done what he had to do, and that was to get the win. He left out. So yeah, that's what he tells him. And then he says that why did Jimmy help him out? And then he was talking about how nobody wants to help him now. And he says that he should have kept the same energy, and he would be still World Heavyweight Champion. And he tells Jimmy that he never been world champion before, so he don't understand. So yeah, that's what's going on there. And then Jay looks at him for a second, and then he says that, that he got to focus on himself. So yeah, that's what's going on there. But then after that, we get to the next segment of the night where we see Io Sky getting the mist out of her face and everything. Kairi Sane comes up, and Kairi wants to apologize to Io, and then wants to talk to Io, try to tell her that she should go apologize to Asuka. And then Io was telling her to go the hell on somewhere, and she tells her to leave, screaming at her and everything. And then Kairi just hands her a picture of Io, Asuka, and herself, and she walks off. So yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, up next will be the next match of the night. It'll be LA Knight versus Kofi Kingston one-on-one up next on Raw. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on Monday Night Raw, we get to the next match of the night. It was LA Knight versus Kofi Kingston with Xavier Woods at ringside, the New Day. So yeah, we get to this match, and this match, it was a pretty good one. It was back and forth and everything between Kofi and LA Knight we see Xavier Woods a couple times trying to interfere in this match, and then Kofi was getting the upper hand at one point, and at one point we actually see Kofi try the Trouble in Paradise onto LA Knight, but the LA Knight ducks it, and then he grabs Kofi, throwing him backwards, and Kofi lands on his feet, and then that's when LA Knight hits the BFT onto Kofi, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3 to pick up the win. So yeah, LA Knight defeated Kofi Kingston tonight in a 1-on-1 match. That's what happened there. Pretty good match, though. For that match, I'll give it 3 stars. That's what I'll give it. But yeah, that's what happened there. LA Knight picking up a win over Kofi Kingston tonight. But then after that match, we get to a backstage segment where we see Maxine Dupree and Akira Tozawa talking backstage, and then Becky Lynch interrupts them, and then Becky was talking about how she is the greatest female wrestler of all time and everything, and how she pretty much was going to have a match against Maxine, and Maxine was talking about how she'd been hoping that Becky was going to get a match with her, and she going to show her that, you know, she's not the greatest of all time. And then Becky starts talking about how Sports Illustrated was talking about how she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time and all that stuff, and then, Maxine was like, well, AJ Lee don't think that. And then that's where Akira Tozawa starts laughing, and then Becky punches him in the face, knocking him down. And then Maxine asking Becky what the hell is wrong with her. She's checking on Akira Tozawa. And then while she was checking on him, all of a sudden Becky attacks her from behind, beating her down, laying her across of a table backstage, just laying her out, and security had pulling her off. And then Becky runs into Seth backstage, and Seth asks her how she's feeling now. She says that she's feeling a little bit better, and he's staring at that watch still that Cody Rhodes gave him. And then she says that does he want her to go out there with him, and he says no, he'll do this alone. And then she says that does he want to get Paul, and he says that he's got to do this alone all by himself. So yeah, that's what Seth says. And yeah, up next Seth Rollins will be on Raw. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Monday Night Raw, we get to the next segment of the night where we see the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. He comes out there, and the fans is chanting and all that stuff. They're chanting OTC and Cody Rhodes and all that stuff. But yeah, Seth Rollins starts talking, and he starts talking about the match he's having against Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel, where it'll be champion versus champion and all that. And Seth was actually talking about the win-loss record and everything, talking about how Cody Rhodes got 3 wins and how himself, he got 0 wins over Cody Rhodes. And then he was talking about how that is the past and how they are different people now. And he says that they are totally different now, like Cody Rhodes being WWE Champion while he is World Heavyweight Champion. So yeah, that's what Seth Rollins is talking about, how those wins and stuff doesn't matter, but then he says that the win at Crown Jewel is going to be the one that's going to be mattering. So yeah, that's what Seth Rollins says there. But then all of a sudden, the undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, he makes his way out there to the ring, and he starts talking in the ring, and he starts talking about what happened on Friday Night SmackDown with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed appearing. But then he says that he already knows that Seth Rollins did not have any doings in that. It was Paul Heyman. And then he starts questioning Seth if he's even the leader and giving instructions in his own group. So yeah, that's what Cody Rhodes was saying there. So yeah, that's what happened there. And then they started getting on the subject about WrestleMania 40 and about Seth Rollins helping Cody Rhodes, and Seth was talking about how he was helping the lesser 2 evils and all that. So yeah, that's what Seth was saying there. And then he was talking about how he'll never shake Cody Rhodes' hands or be friends with him or anything like that. So yeah, that's what Seth Rollins was saying to Cody Rhodes. And then he says that, at Crown Jewel, he's going to defeat Cody Rhodes, and that's when the win's going to matter. So yeah, that's what Seth Rollins was saying there. And then Cody Rhodes was talking about how Seth Rollins is going to lose, just like he done the last couple of times. So yeah, that's why I've been there sending a message out to him as well. But yeah, pretty good segment setting up for the match at Crown Jewel between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. That was a pretty good segment. But yeah, there's still a lot more stuff to come later on tonight on Monday Night Raw. And yeah, up next we're going to be seeing Dragon Lee and AJ Styles versus Los Americanos up next in a tag team match. So yeah, that'll be the next match of the night. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Monday Night Raw, we get to the next match of the night. It was AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Los Americanos with El Grande Americano at ringside in a tag team match. But before we talk about this tag team match, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee was talking and cutting a promo in the middle of the ring. Dragon Lee was talking about how he's going to get through some titles and all that stuff. And then AJ Styles mentions his match against John Cena at Crown Jewel, and he says that he gets to beat up John Cena again. So yeah, that's what AJ Styles was saying there. But he says that they got beat up Los Americanos tonight. So yeah, that's what AJ Styles was saying there. We get to the match, and this match, it was pretty good. AJ Styles at one point takes out El Grande Americano with a phenomenal forearm over the top rope. At one point, he is a phenomenal forearm onto one of the Los Americanos, taking him out of the ring, and then Dragon Lee tosses up the other one where AJ Styles catches him, and he got him set up for the Styles Clash. Dragon Lee jumps over the top rope with a front flip senton on one of them, and then Styles hits the Styles Clash onto the other one, pinning him for the 3 count. So yeah, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defeated Los Americanos tonight in a tag team match. That's what happened there. Pretty good tag team match, so for that match, I'll give it 2.5 stars is what I'll give it. But yeah, that's what happened there. And then, after that match ended, we get to a backstage segment where we see the WWE Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer getting interviewed backstage as she was talking about Tiffany Stratton and everything, talking about how she was going to beat her at Crown Jewel. And then the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton comes up, and Tiffany Stratton was talking about how Stephanie Vaquer's time is up and her time is now, is Tiffy time. So yeah, that's what Tiffany Stratton says there to Stephanie. But yeah, up next will be the main event. It'll be the Usos versus The Vision in a tag team match up next on Raw in the main event. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Monday Night Raw, we get to the main event. But before we talk about the main event, we got to talk about a backstage segment. So yeah, the next thing that happened backstage was Seth Rollins runs across Paul Heyman in The Vision, and Paul Heyman was talking about how he would help Seth Rollins and everything. Seth Rollins tells him that he got to do it alone. So yeah, that's what Seth Rollins tells Paul Heyman and the rest of the Vision. But yeah, then after that, we get to the main event. It was Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, with Paul Heyman at ringside, the Vision in a tornado tag team match. This is no disqualification. Yeah, we get to this match. In this match, it was a pretty good one. We see Braun Breaker putting Jimmy Uso through the announce table, taking him out for a good bit of the match, and then they start beating the hell out of Jay, and he was getting the upper hand, but then Jimmy starts coming back into this match, going at it with them, and all of a sudden, we see the Vision taking control of this match, laying out the Usos, but then all of a sudden we see the return of Roman Reigns. He comes out there with a steel chair. He gets into the ring. Breaker runs at him, and then he knocks Breaker over the top rope, and he grabs the steel chair and starts beating the hell out of Bronson Reed with the steel chair, knocking him out of the ring, and then he knocks him over the barricade with the steel chair for the rest of the match. And then Breaker was trying to come up and attack Roman, but then Roman hits him in the stomach with the chair and hits him in the back as well, knocking him into the ring. And then as soon as Breaker got back up to his feet, he gets hit with a super kick by Jimmy, and then Jay hits Breaker with a spear, and then that's when Jimmy and Jay climbs up the top turnbuckle, hitting a double Uso splash onto Braun Breaker, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, the Usos defeated the Vision tonight in a tag team match. That's what happened there. But then after the match ended, Roman Reigns gets back into the ring, starts beating Breaker down with the steel chair and knocking him out of the ring. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good tag team match. What happened after the match was pretty good. And then after all that stuff, we see Roman talking to Jay, and he was pretty much telling him that, you know, he's all by himself and that he should never trust no one. So yeah, that's what Roman Reigns was telling Jay there, and Jay was, you know, believing all in it. And we see Jimmy in the background, you know, not looking too happy about that. So yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, for the match and everything, I'll give it all 3.5 stars. That's why I'll say that was probably match of the night right there. But yeah, for tonight's episode, Monday Night Raw, I'll give it 8.5 stars. That's why I'll give it. It was a pretty good episode. But yeah, that has been my Monday Night Raw, September 29th, 2025 reviews. Like, subscribe to TNW Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris, and subscribe to this channel, Chris McDaniels. You can follow me on all my social media accounts. They'll be down there in the description box. And I'll see you guys later for tomorrow night's NXT reviews. See you guys later. Till then.